You're listening to Podcast PXN, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo. Let's do this. What's up, guys? Welcome to Podcast PXN, episode 46. I am one of your hosts, Daniel Prindle, aka Dan is DTM on Twitter, and I'm joined over Discord by the pride of PlayStation, Sean Babiak. Sean, we are without Railroad this week, but we have a lot to talk about. Are you excited?
We do. We actually got our hands on impressions with PS5 and Xbox Series X, so stay tuned for that. It'll be right at the end, though, obviously. We'll talk about that right at the end.
Oh, wow. Yes, right at the end. So you have to listen to the whole podcast, though, in order to get it.
Exactly. Yeah, if you fast forward it, actually all podcast services recognize that, and you can't do it.
Exactly, yeah. Thank you to everyone watching us live and participating in the chat. Just as a reminder, we are live each and every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube. Just search Podcast PXN and you will find us on there. The topic of the show this week is the Spider-Man PlayStation exclusivity problem that we are kind of dealing with. But first, the show always starts with the PXN news of the week, so let's go ahead and jump right in. Sean, the first item on the PXN news of the week, we have Splinter Cell news. Splinter Cell,
finally the next one coming to
Xbox
Series X and PS5, right?
Yeah, no. Unfortunately, Splinter Cell animated series is coming to Netflix.
That's better, man. That's even better.
Just give us a freaking Splinter Cell game, Ubisoft. That's all we want. It's been 7 years. We went a whole generation without a Splinter Cell game. Why?
I couldn't tell you. Maybe they couldn't figure out something. I have no idea, honestly. And you thought after the DLC with Ghost Recon Wildlands that they were teasing something, but we got nothing on that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know if Michael Ironside's going to be back as the voice in the animated series? Has that been announced?
That's what I was wondering, because like, what the hell is this series going to be if it's not like Sam Fisher and if it's not Michael Ironside as Sam Fisher? Like, what? I'm not sure what they are actually going to have this be. That, like,
because he does voice acting for animated series. Actually, I just watched the first 2 seasons of the Harley Quinn show on HBO Max, and Michael Ironside, obviously his voice is incredibly recognizable, but he plays Darkseid.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's not apt to voice not just video games but also animated series. So
yeah,
I don't know. I hope that he gets some sort of call about this whole thing.
Yeah, I completely agree. And Michael Ironside has done real life work too as an actor in some TV series. So I definitely don't understand why they wouldn't give him a call for this. But at the same time, I have no idea what they're going to do for this series. Like, this could be like something out of left field that's just using the Splinter Cell license essentially to make it a little more popular, a little more known. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. So, moving on, we have Battletoads got a release date of August 20th with a new trailer shown off. Kind of odd that they didn't show this at their showcase event.
That's what I was thinking too, man. For how soon it's coming out, that's insane.
Yeah, because it's coming August 20th, which, in my opinion, I think it actually looks interesting. I don't know how it'll end up, playing at the end and what it'll look like when it comes out, but everything I've seen so far makes me kind of interested in this. And I've never played the original Battletoads games. I know a lot of people say like they're super difficult and lot of
they are it was insane. Primarily the bike level that everybody that's played that has not great nostalgia for. But other than that, I mean, it was a product of its time. But we said that about Crash, and we're getting a new Crash as well later this year. So who knows? I mean, it could surprise everybody. And is this going to be a Game Pass game?
Yes, it'll be day one Game Pass. So I'll definitely check it out. It's just I'm not sure how it'll translate. The art looks really good on it. I think it looks interesting. It's like a flattened art design, but it kind of has like a little bit of like Cuphead inspiration in the art design. and I think it definitely looks interesting visually, just how it's going to actually play. And they did say like there was some humor that's going to pay homage to the late '90s version of Battletoads, which is kind of interesting because comedy isn't necessarily the same as it was in the '90s. So I don't know how that will
Unless they
translate.
just keep the names of the toads the same, like
Yeah,
Booger and Snot and all that
Rash
stuff.
and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
You
So
know, I mean, it might actually, I don't know, depending on how I'm feeling, it might speed up my Game Pass purchasing sooner.
yeah,
I'm assuming, and maybe I'm sorry to get us off topic. I'm assuming once the price of Xbox Series X and the pre-orders go up, there's going to be some sort of massive deal for Game Pass. So I am just waiting for that essentially.
yeah. Yeah, and there's been I have like 3 years of Game Pass Ultimate stacked up because of the Xbox Live stuff and because I keep seeing deals like for 6 months of Ultimate for like $24.99 or something like that. It was a really good deal, and I was like, well, I might as well just extend my membership to make it 3 years because you can have up to 3 years on your account. But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely agree. It's kind of this month is kind of crazy with Game Pass games. Finally, we actually have 4 Game Pass games this month coming out for Microsoft exclusively.
Yeah. August is an odd, good month for video games. I mean, we're about to find out a lot of information on 2 specific consoles.
Yep.
And like you just said, Game Pass, Xbox finally releasing something. I don't think Nintendo's ever going to release anything again, it feels like. But yeah, August is definitely shaping up to be the month to be staying tuned to everything.
For sure. Moving on, Sean, to the most important news of this entire
Good night.
podcast. As everyone knows, Halo Infinite multiplayer. This was actually very heavily rumored and basically leaked ahead of time. But 343 has officially confirmed that the multiplayer is going to be free to play, as well as 120 frames per second support on Xbox Series X. So that's very interesting. That's essentially the first next gen game we've gotten confirmation that at least one component of it, the multiplayer, is going to run at 120 frames per second on Series X, which many people are out there, it's probably not going to matter to them because they don't even play their consoles on a TV that supports 120 frames per second. So I don't know that that's necessarily the best way for them to market this because the standard person out there has a TV that has 60 frames per second as the maximum refresh rate. It's going to depend on what the person has out there, but most people out there do not have a TV that can support 120 frames per second at 4K. So that
is yours? I can't remember.
Yes, mine is. Yes.
Okay.
The one in my living room is. The one
That's
in
what
my
I meant.
bedroom
Yeah, that's
is
what I
not.
meant.
Yeah.
The one right before I moved out.
Exactly. Yep. That one does, which so I'm excited to see that. But free to play multiplayer, that's absolutely huge for Halo because
For PC, I would say.
Yeah.
I don't know about Series X itself because like I alluded to last time is why the hell are you buying an Xbox anything and not getting Game Pass now?
yeah, I agree.
And that obviously comes with it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree completely. And yes, I agree with you as well. But also keep in mind, Game Pass is on PC as well, so that also translates to PC as well,
True.
regardless of it being free to play. But I do still think that free to play opens it up to a lot more people. There's more people that will play free to play. At least give it a try. You know, somebody out there, Joe Schmo, who's never played Halo before, he may be like, "Oh, okay, let's jump in and just see what this is about." And it just improves the overall population of the game and just improves it.
The most popular games these days are free to play, and I don't think they suffer from that model, i.e. Apex, Fortnite, Call of Duty Warzone. Those are heavily still played. I think Call of Duty actually just went into season 5.
Yep.
I think it was this week. And like there obviously is free to play because you don't even have to have the latest COD for it. And even though I know they did announce that they're going to incorporate something with 2020's COD with Warzone, but you still don't actually have to have that copy of it. So just a smart play by Microsoft in the end for this.
Yeah. Which that comment you just made, I did just see that a little bit ago. It's kind of interesting that they're doing that because obviously with Black Ops 4, they had Blackout, which was its own thing, and then they released Modern Warfare, which had Warzone. So it's kind of interesting that now it seems like they're going to make Warzone essentially like a platform moving forward for their Battle Royale version of Call of Duty, which super
I guarantee
interesting.
that thing is making gangbusters for them as
Yeah.
far as Activision goes.
Oh yeah, and
Every time I turn on anything, like TikTok's been in the news a lot recently, and there's so many videos just dedicated to that, just to Warzone moments type thing.
yeah, and we both know Activision loves their money, so they're excited about that. Moving on, Microsoft Flight Simulator, Sean. We've talked about this before, but it has an official release date of August 18th. That game is just freaking stunning. The tech in that game is unbelievable. It looks absolutely beautiful. I still have to dig into it a little more. I played in early access or whatever of it a long time ago, but it's definitely something that you have to teach yourself because you can't just jump in and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna land this airplane, no problem." It's very, very involved. Like it has every instrument.
It taught Anthony Anderson how to fly a plane and Snakes on a Plane.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, he did say that. Yeah, so.
And they said it would rot our brains.
Yeah, exactly. So stunning game. Excited to see it come, and it's coming for Game Pass as well. So
that would actually be something I would jokingly check out because I remember actually playing Flight Simulator when I used to like play PC back when I was a kid, and like I sucked. I didn't even care to learn any of it, but I would just create chaos, and I would just love to see, I guess, beautiful chaos in that sense.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely. Moving on, we are going to kind of transition to some PlayStation news. There's still more Microsoft news on our agenda, but I didn't want to throw it all together.
And
There's
one
so much.
Nintendo.
Yeah, exactly. So the DualSense has officially been unveiled that there are no back buttons on the DualSense on the PS5 controller, which is weird because as we've already talked about, that DualShock 4 attachment that they just announced this year and released is a little attachment that creates two back buttons on the controller on the DualShock 4. And I remember us having this conversation. I was like, yeah, they probably made that attachment just so that the DualShock 4 can be compatible with the PlayStation 5 having like two more buttons or whatever. And of course, they don't even have that. Like, I'm so confused.
Yeah, odd choice. Like it feels like they were just in the end only going a half step to like comparison wise, I guess the Xbox Elite 2 or Series 2 controller, but they didn't want to like commit all the way, which okay, maybe they're right. Maybe the return on investment that Microsoft has is not that great for it, but it's still considered not just an excellent controller, but a polished controller.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just find it very weird that, hey, here's this customizable attachment for you to, I guess, help you more. I don't know. I feel like all that stuff is more for strategy games or RPGs, like World of Warcraft stuff.
Yeah.
As opposed to like maybe an FPS or something like that. But it just seems like an odd decision in the end for PS4. Maybe not for PS5, because again, I thought it looked dumb. And if that was going to be on the DualSense, I don't know. I just felt like that would have gotten clunky. And I've always liked the PlayStation's controller design.
Yeah.
I know you and I kind of go back and forth. You like the inverted. I like them kind of next to each other as far as the thumbsticks.
Yeah.
But it's still just an odd design that maybe they were planning on and they just backed off from it, given pre-orders for the weird attachment. But that just seems a little late in development for them to do.
Yeah, I agree completely. It does very much seem like that they kind of changed their plans or something along those lines. Just because it doesn't really, like you said, it doesn't really compare that well to like the Elite controller. It's just kind of, here you go, here's two buttons. I don't know, but interestingly enough, our next news story, Sean, goes into a frequently asked question forum that Sony published for PlayStation 5, kind of showing the compatibility of hardware for PlayStation 4 devices on PS5. And I guess we'll start with the DualShock 4 on PlayStation 5 will not function with PS5 games. It will only function with PS4 games, which I find interesting. And Sony's explanation for this was that they want developers to utilize the new functions of the new controller, which I get to a certain extent. But at the same time, the buttons on the controller aren't changing. All of the buttons that are on the DualShock 4 or on the DualSense are also on the DualShock 4. So I guess I don't really understand why they can't just say, yeah, you guys can use those controllers if you want, but if you want a better experience, use the DualSense. Because it's not like if you don't have the haptic feedback or whatever, like feeling like sand, moving through sand or whatever, like one of the examples they made for the DualSense, like if you don't care about that feeling, then that you're really not missing anything else on the controller. It has all the other components that the DualShock 4 has. So I guess I'm a little bit confused why they made that decision. The DualShock 4 is a very good controller, and don't get me wrong, I'm more excited for the DualSense than the DualShock 4. It looks like a bigger controller, a little bit bigger controller, and will fit my hands a little better, but I guess it doesn't necessarily speak well to fans who say, hey, I have 3 or 4 controllers that I can't use on next gen just because of these haptic feedbacks or whatever that you want us to experience.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not upset as far as that you can't. I'm just so used to, I guess, I buy a new console, I have certain things that I get with the new console.
Yep.
So I always get at least 2 launch games. Actually, the PS4 was the first time I think I actually got I got 3 launch games because Amazon screwed up and canceled my pre-order at first. No, not Knack. No, I ended up getting Killzone for free. Nice. Along with Assassin's Creed, Black Flag, and Battlefield 4.
Battlefield 4. Yep.
But I'm just so used to, I always purchase an extra controller with it, so I'm used to always having 2 controllers to start off with. Yeah. So it doesn't really bother me too much. The only thing I will say is it just is I guess not an incredibly good look as comparison to Microsoft that your controller will work.
Yeah.
As far as your Xbox One controller, hell, a day one Xbox One will work.
Yeah.
With that. The only thing I'll say is like maybe once we find out exactly what this DualSense stuff is, maybe that is a sufficient reason.
Yeah.
I look at it almost like the what was it, the HD Rumble for the Switch?
Yeah, that
you
no
didn't
one
truly
uses.
know what that was until the first time you played it, and you're like, this is a different type of Rumble.
Yeah.
Now, granted, they don't really even use it anymore. That's kind of Nintendo's thing, is they try something, they have 2 good games for it, and then they just drop it off right away. But I don't know. We'll see what comes with this.
Yeah. And it's kind of a continuation of, Microsoft and Sony just having 2 different perspectives. Sony's just doing, a traditional approach that everyone has always done every new generation. Like, we've never had it where controllers and stuff move forward into the next generation. It's always been a complete reset. So what Sony's doing isn't necessarily wrong or anything. It's just they're following the traditional path of next generation, whereas Microsoft is saying, hey, you guys can use your devices that you already have, which is kind of a new concept, so to speak, for new console generations. So
yeah,
just 2 different methods. And they gave us a little bit more information as well. They did say that the PlayStation Move motion controllers and the PSVR aim controller will work with supported PSVR games on PS5. So that's kind of a no-brainer, but at the same time, I could see you cringing right now because the PlayStation Move controller is still the main controller for PlayStation VR, and that's now 2 generations old when this comes out.
Well, and so like that gives me, and I know we're doing this podcast today, so we'll have more news obviously next week, but tomorrow's PlayStation event is both a third-party and a PSVR focused event. So I'm very curious if we're going to get any details on any, I guess, PSVR 2.0 mentioned. I know technically your base VR unit is going to work with your PS5, but I think given the upgrades that Oculus has done, I think it's time that Sony can do the same thing. It's been, I want to say, 4 years since PSVR launched.
Yeah.
I think it's had a very successful launch, to be honest with you. As far as getting into a market that no one knew really what to expect, except it failed in the late 80s, early 90s. So I think they had marginal success with all that stuff. But still, I just think it's very odd that we're still expected to have our move. I mean, hell, you gave me your move controllers. My friend Chris gave me his. I have like 8 move controllers, which is great because I can just swap them out. But at the same time, I'm just like, the reason why you guys are able to give me these things is because, like, why the hell do I need these? Exactly. These are from a generation ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's crazy that they're still using that. Yeah, we'll talk about the event in a little bit, but I don't think we're gonna see anything hardware related based on what they said. Not to say that they can't announce PSVR at some other point, a new PSVR at some other point this year, but I don't think it'll come tomorrow. The last thing from this story is the PlayStation camera for PlayStation 4. They were asked if it was compatible with PlayStation 5, which it is, but it requires a camera adapter that will be provided at no additional cost to PlayStation VR owners, which to me, that kind of ticks me off a little bit. I mean, sure, it's not like a super expensive peripheral or anything like that, but it's like, man, I bought my PlayStation camera at launch of PlayStation 4, and I have the original one, and I don't own PlayStation VR. So essentially they're saying, like, you either have to buy this adapter, which I'm not even sure if they're going to make it available or if they're just going to give it free to people who own VR. I'm not sure how that's going to work, or if they're just going to make you upgrade. I don't know. But it is kind of shitty that they're not giving that to anyone who has a camera. Like, if you put in your serial number or something, like give us some.
That's what I don't understand. How is that redemption going to work? I understand digital redemptions.
Yeah,
I really do. I don't understand physical redemptions. Like, I could just fake it off the package, couldn't I? Or I don't know. I just don't know how unless I literally say, Daniel, come over, take a picture of me playing PSVR, and then I send it to them. Like, it just doesn't make sense on how you track that. So I'd be very interested to see how they're going to kind of market that one to me.
For sure. And it's kind of the same thing with Xbox. When they did the Xbox One S and then the One X, they required a Kinect adapter, which, my God, I don't know if you've ever seen that Kinect adapter. It's like...
I have. When you first moved in, I remember.
Oh, God, yeah. It's a pain in the butt to set up. It's like 7 cables. But they gave it for free to people who owned a One S because people complained because originally they weren't going to give you an adapter. So they gave it free for those people. But when I got the One X, they no longer gave it for free anymore. I think because they wanted to just, absolve themselves.
They wanted to forget that they required that at the launch.
Exactly. So, yeah, it's kind of the same deal here, or similar deal.
Yeah.
So speaking of that state of play that's been announced for tomorrow, they said that it's going to be a 40-minute show focusing on third-party games. They said also we're going to see some PlayStation 5 third parties as well, but I don't think we'll see a ton of those. I think we'll see a few. It's possible, and maybe we'll see freaking Call of Duty, because how we're down to August 5th and we don't even know what the Call of Duty this year is, besides leaks, obviously. It's rumored to be the Cold War game, but they haven't released anything about that game, so possibly Call of Duty tomorrow. But they did. So I think Sony officially said that they're not going to have any hardware showing tomorrow. So that's why I didn't think that they were going to.
I was just hoping they wouldn't include PSVR's hardware.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So yeah, obviously we can't really expect anything from first party tomorrow, but I'm sure it'll still be a solid show.
Yeah, I mean, I think your Call of Duty guess is probably 100% right. We're probably going to find out at least 2 launch titles, I think, for the PS5. I don't have any guess, to be honest with you, because I'm really trying to think, like, what franchises have not released recently, and I really can't. Sony has been out of the gates hard the last, 2 years.
How about Rocksteady's game? Where the hell is that?
I've always been on the assumption that when Rocksteady does show a game, that is going to show up on Xbox.
Yeah,
Didn't they
I
have
mean,
some sort of deal with them at some point? I could have sworn that was a thing.
I think the Arkham games were largely on Sony stage, like Arkham City and Arkham Asylum, or Arkham Knight. I think were on Sony stage for E3. But
Yeah, it's hard to remember. I've
yeah,
been actually wanting to go back to Arkham Knight, but then I think like I don't want to just do Batmobile missions the
ugh,
entire freaking time.
that was all. That was the worst part of that game. Freaking Batmobile missions, but I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Some people have speculated that Rocksteady will announce their next game at the DC Fundome or whatever event at the end of August, which I guess that's possible, but
That
just
seems like a poor thing for them specifically, I think.
yeah, I agree. I don't know how it's been this long and we haven't seen anything, but
That part is true. Yeah, I don't know how they continue to have nothing for since 2015, I believe that's when they came out.
yeah, yeah, 2015. That sounds right.
Yeah.
Moving on, Bloomberg has reported that Sony's next PlayStation 5 announcement is tentatively scheduled for this month.
When you say
So
Bloomberg, you mean Jason Schreier, right?
probably, but Jason Schreier has blocked me on Twitter now. That's a whole nother story. So
Good for him.
yeah, well, it wasn't deserved on my behalf. I'll tell you that. Jason Schreier blocks with a heavy hand, apparently. But anyways, that's a whole nother story. I'll have to tell you that one off air or something. So anyways, I think this obviously has to be the pre-order announcement and price and release date. Like we're in August now, both Sony and Microsoft. No matter who goes first, somebody has to go first. And we're getting into August and we still don't know the date, price, anything of these consoles. So they have to do this month or they're getting way too late.
Oh, I agree. Because I mean, I have a full plan, and I haven't even talked about this with you yet. But like, I'm giving you my Amazon password, my Best Buy password. If you want, you can do the same to me to make sure that everything is on the up and up. That we can get the pre-orders in case one of us is busy.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, because it's gonna be quick, and you don't want to
Yeah.
miss out on that. And yeah, who
And I'm
knows?
just afraid one of them is going to undercut the other,
Yeah,
just like it happened in this generation, and you're going to miss out on that first one.
I think that's why. Honestly, I think that's why we've not heard anything for so long because I think each of them are waiting for the other one to go first because they want to undercut or at least keep it the same price. I think that's what each of them are concerned about, and obviously that was a huge factor with the PlayStation 4 was the $100 price difference. That's a huge difference. Obviously Microsoft had other problems with their messaging and all of that such in their games, but I think a big factor is price, and I think both Sony and Microsoft know that, and it is definitely going to be an interesting month to see who goes first and how that all shakes out, I think.
Yeah, and especially for me, what I am most interested in is the rumored was it Lockhart? Is that what it's called?
Yes, yep.
I want to see because I know there's a rumor that it's technically like not as powerful as a Series X. I'm
Yeah.
just curious if that's going to be in fruition because like at the moment I'm all in on both.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to get Game Pass, I don't see the reason to have a disk drive. So it's like if that's a cheaper option, but I still get the same experience, I would rather lean towards that.
Yeah, for sure. And if you don't really care about 4K or whatever, then Lockhart would do what you wanted to do, according to the
It just
leaks
depends on
anyway.
what's coming out. I mean, you and I were
Yeah.
joking beforehand, the Unreal Engine 5 in 2021, when that's a thing, like,
Yeah,
I mean, shit, I'm going to want my games looking as best as possible.
I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Moving on, Rockstar, the great makers of Rockstar, have confirmed that GTA 5 will launch on next generation in the second half of 2021 with technical, visual, and performance upgrades. To kind of tie into this as well, Take-Two has also said that next-gen software at $70 reflects the quality of the experience. Which is, I find that last part interesting because nobody else has said their games are costing $70 next gen, except for 2K.
Well,
So
and again, we have no idea what any experience is.
yeah,
Like, I think you're putting the what's the phrase, horse before the camel or something like that, or horse before the water.
yeah,
Regardless, whatever that saying is, I think where they're thinking a little too far forward. Now, could it suddenly become $70? Yeah.
yeah,
And obviously it's going to be something that you want to think about before making that purchase. But I don't know. I think you mentioned something to me too about how this game came out in 2013.
yeah.
2013, and it's going to be coming out now in 2021. 8 years later, we're still paying not
70.
just the normal price of $60.
Yeah.
We're still paying a premium now of $70.
Yep.
It doesn't sync well with me.
Yeah, Rockstar could possibly get 6120, well, $190 just for the base versions of the game. That's not including if you bought online stuff, packs and such.
Yeah, and it's already the most
$190.
profitable piece of entertainment in history.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like you're telling me you're going to get more profitable because we all know that people are still going to buy GTA 5.
Oh yeah,
they are a long way off from GTA 6.
Yeah. Which is kind of frustrating. Like, instead of making this, I would rather them make a GTA 6 or put development resources towards making GTA 6, not make GTA 5 for the third time,
Just the downfall is how much GTA Online makes for them.
Oh, I know. Yeah. They love their money. Moving on, we're back to some Microsoft news. We have a ton of this week. Microsoft is removing the giant Series X enhanced logo from all the game's box arts. This was in response to community feedback from the fans. This is great news, in my opinion, because that logo was gigantic. It's kind of unnecessary to be on there, too. You already have Xbox Series X at the top of the box on the front. Next to Xbox One. So like if games are on both, they clearly illustrate that. I don't really see the need to show that a game is enhanced. If people want to know that, they'll find out about that. Or like their solution is they put it on the back and it's a small logo on the back now. It makes much more sense to do that than to cover up these beautiful box arts. And not to say that I really care anymore because I buy all digital, but
I was gonna say box art really isn't a thing I feel like these days anymore. It really isn't.
Yeah, it's slowly dying because of physical dying. So
which is fine. I mean, at times I like to look at my Switch icons just because some of them are really good and some of them are just plain awful. And it's like, oh, it's like if somebody was just looking at my Switch, they'd be like, "What's this game?"
Yeah,
because it might interest them. But like some developers don't put any time into that. I guess you could say the same thing on icons on the PS4 and Xbox. Like, put some time into that stuff because that's the new direction of box art itself.
Yeah, I agree. And some developers do the opposite and change that art so much that you don't even recognize it. Like Fortnite changes it every single season, I think.
Yeah, that's how Apex. I still have Apex installed, and every time I'm just like, I have no idea what the hell's going on in here now.
Yeah, exactly. Moving on, Microsoft has officially announced a new Microsoft Store for Xbox, which is how you buy your games on Xbox, which is a lot faster and a much cleaner look. They said it's twice as fast as before with a launch time of 1 to 2 seconds. That's significantly better. I think that's more than twice. It says twice, but that's definitely more than twice as fast. New nav system on the left-hand side. It's kind of like just a streamlined nav system now. Overhauled search, wish list, shopping cart, and also it's easier to purchase games across all generations of Xbox, which that part's important as well because currently on Xbox One, when you want to purchase a original Xbox or Xbox 360 game, it gets a little kind of convoluted because you have to go into multiple menus and then kind of you click a button that says see price, and then you have to go into like a 360 looking UI, and then it tells you what the price is of the game. You have to go that deep into it to see that, but they're streamlining that for the new store, so that's very good. And man, the current store is so sluggish and awful that this looks a million times better, like a million times better.
It's been forever since I explored the store on the Xbox One.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess an improvement's much needed. Well, I guess I'll probably spend a little bit of time there come the launch of this next gen with Game Pass, so I can understand that. But isn't that its own separate menu too?
Game Pass?
Yeah,
It does. It lives within your games and apps. There's a
that's what I
section.
thought.
Yeah, there's a section with Game Pass, so you can look there, or you can just go straight to the store or whatever. Yeah. Yep. So that's interesting. And moving on to our last Microsoft news story. Finally, we made it. Microsoft is launching their xCloud cloud gaming streaming service on September 15th. This is kind of their official launch, although they're saying it's starting in beta. For Android. Plus, there's going to be a special app on Samsung's store as well, Samsung's App Store, which kind of is just getting around Google's Play Store terms and conditions or whatever with in-app purchases. So Samsung and Microsoft came to an agreement where they can sell their services like Game Pass in their App Store. And Google Play Store, you can still use the app to play your games, but you can't make purchases in there. And it's kind of something similar that we actually saw a little bit ago. I just saw that iOS support is ceasing as of today for the testing app, which I've had the testing app for a few months on iOS. And the only game they had on there was Master Chief Collection because of Apple's strict regulations on their App Store. And it's very much putting in doubt of Game Pass xCloud coming to iOS officially anytime soon because Apple's App Store policies are just awful. And I know there's been so many developers over the past couple years that have complained about their business practices on the App Store where they demand, I believe, like 30% of the revenue or something of in-app purchases, which it's a significant amount. So I get it. I completely get it. I would love to see it on iOS because obviously I own all iOS devices, but it'll definitely be something to kind of see if Microsoft can work something out with Apple. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, just knowing about those two companies separately from gaming, I doubt it. I mean, I was surprised that you were even able to test it on there without running a different operating system.
Yep.
But I wouldn't hold your breath on that one.
Yep, absolutely. Moving on, Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout is now available on PS4 and PC, and this is free, right, Sean?
PS Plus game, yeah.
PS Plus, yeah.
It's one of the free games of the month.
Yeah, I think this game looks really interesting. Cool. Yeah, you were telling me about it. It's like a game show battle royale. Like
yeah. My friends Emily and Chris were playing it yesterday when it launched. I didn't get a chance to yet. I did download it though tonight. But it just looks quirky, chaotic, and I don't know. It just looks like a game like even if you lose, you're not going to get upset about losing. You're going to just witness the hilarity of people trying to do stuff, more or less.
Yeah.
I just thought it was an interesting concept and almost like this is the type of stuff that I really like. A Rocket League possibility of success. I mean, Rocket League launched on the PS4.
Yeah.
In the very, very early days, and it was a PS Plus game as like it launched, and we only know about success when it comes to Rocket League.
Yeah.
And I just think that was such a smart thing for them to do is get people in the ground early. Word of mouth travels very quickly on the internet for better or good. But if this game has the legs that it should, then boom, right there, you sell your game just based on giving it away for free.
Yeah. I agree completely. And just to kind of give a shout out, Roro, I know, was posting about this game on Twitter, and it seemed like he was pretty excited about this as well. And I just want to point out as well, this game was getting review bombed on Steam when it first launched because it had some technical problems at launch. And the developers of this game are a very small developer, so you can imagine how frustrating that was for them to, try to get the game working as quickly as they could, and they got it working now. A lot of people have
Didn't
been
some
enjoying it.
company come out and say that they're gonna revise like their reviews and basically make it so
Yes.
people can't do that?
Yes, Metacritic.
Metacritic, that's who it was. Okay.
Yep, they require, I think, like 48 hours now after the game's release before they allow reviews to go up.
Smart move, because I mean, I
Yes, I
know,
agree.
and I get it. Last of Us 2 is divisive, but like, especially the smaller team,
Yeah,
like getting hated on, it's like, guys, like everything is a day one update, and if
yeah,
they have a launch of a smaller game, how the hell are they going to know to do more for it?
yeah. I agree completely. It's yeah, don't do that and just enjoy the game. Yes, it's frustrating when you want to play something on launch and it's not playable, but don't just review bomb stuff, guys. Which the developers posted a follow up and said there was actually a positive review bomb after that. After they said that was happening, that kind
That's
of
a good story to hear.
yeah, that actually kind of evened them out a little bit. So that's pretty cool. So, moving on to some Nintendo news, Pikmin 3 Deluxe is releasing on October 30th. Sean, how excited are you for this?
Oh, super stoked to play a game from 2013 for 60 flippin' dollars. I mean, I get it. A lot of people did not buy a Wii U. I totally understand that. But this game came out again 8 years ago, or I guess 7 years ago. Like, then Miyamoto even mentioned during the Switch launch about how there was going to be a new Pikmin coming.
Yeah.
This is what we're getting. And at the moment, this is the only Nintendo game that we know about that's coming in the future at all.
Yeah. What happened to
There's
the
the rumors of the
Mario
Mario
games?
stuff, but that is
Yeah.
it. We don't know anything besides this game now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's insane. I don't know what's
Yeah.
going on.
Stupidity.
Yeah. Moving on to our final news story, Mortal Shell is releasing August 18th. We have that date. I know you were a little bit excited about this game, and actually, I think you said you thought it was next gen. So this is
I
kind of
did, because remember, this was during that Sony conference in June.
yeah,
when it was showed off. So I assume this was a next gen game, but it's not. And it had a very good beta on PC. So it's coming to the Xbox, PS4, and PC, and it just looks great. It's from a small development team, only $30, but very Souls-like with different mechanics too. So it kind of separates itself from that crowd. But
yeah,
I don't know. Just there's a 60-minute gameplay on IGN.
yeah.
Watch it if you ever get a chance. It's just stunning to look at, and it's right up my alley. So it's definitely something I really want to check out.
For sure. Cool. Moving on into the games we are playing. Sean, I've been playing Ghost of Tsushima, which I bought on Sunday.
Physical or digital?
Digital. Digital.
Damn.
Of course. Yeah. I always buy digital now.
I know. I was just gonna use you to not buy it.
Yeah, I could have bought it physically. I guess I should have. We could have shared that, and then I could have had Last of Us for a little bit, but I didn't
You're
think
good.
about it. But anyways, yeah, I'm enjoying what I've played so far. I think the only complaint I would have so far into it is it does get a little bit repetitive as far as the swordplay goes. It kind of reminds me of Rise, which was a launch title on Xbox One. It's very similar in the sense that Rise was a great story and very great to look at, beautiful game, but it was a little bit repetitive, and I can see it being a little bit repetitive, but I have heard good things about the missions, like the side missions and the story missions in Ghost of Tsushima, so I'm excited to just check out all those variety of missions and story as well. But so far, yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot. Yeah, that's pretty much what my thoughts on
Yeah,
Ghost of
I'm very
Tsushima.
much looking forward to playing it eventually.
Yeah, it's solid. I also played the official game preview launch of Grounded, which what I had played of Grounded before was like the technical test or whatever for Grounded. This is the actual launch of the game preview version of Grounded, and It's definitely a good experience for the size of team that made this game, and it is definitely a game that would cater towards survival fans. Like, I played Rust for about a month or so with one of my buddies a little while back, a few months ago, and it definitely scratches that itch of it. It's just I'm not a huge survival like fan. If I'm playing a survival game, it has to be with other people, and I haven't really seen any of my friends playing this, so I haven't really had anyone to play with. So I just kind of jumped in solo, and I don't feel like that type of experience really lends itself to play solo as much. You kind of need like that squad, so to speak, to fight everything, like the spiders, especially. My God, the spiders. Uh, which
You can make them into popcorn and stuff,
yeah,
or not popcorn, but like something else, right?
yeah, it's like white. They're white blobs.
Yeah.
If you turn the slider all the way up, there's a slider, and like the higher you turn the slider, the less spider-like it looks. It's very funny to use that slider to see like the different levels of it. It's pretty funny. Arachnophobia mode or whatever that's called.
Yeah, I mean, it's just another nod to gaming kind of going towards an inclusivity
Yeah,
method these days.
yeah. In the last game I played this for like literally, I'm not even kidding, like 20 minutes maybe. Fallout 76. I actually checked out the battle royale mode on there. It is very difficult, man. People in there are really good, and I got destroyed. But
I just can't believe people still play that game, to be honest with you.
yeah, I mean, to Bethesda's credit, they've stuck with it and created a lot of new content for it, and added story missions and NPCs. They added all that stuff. I do want to check out that stuff of it, that side of it, but I only had like it, so I was like, I'll just check out the battle royale. I would not recommend playing the battle royale if you don't play Fallout 76 consistently, because you will get destroyed. So that's all I got.
Yeah. So I guess very late to the party, but I've been checking out Apple Arcade. And I kind of gave up a little bit on Carry On. I did like it. I got stuck, and as I said before, there's no map, so I have no idea where the fuck I'm going. But Apple Arcade is interesting, to say the least. I completely understand why you did not keep with it. You just went with a free trial. There's not that much to the offerings, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I found a few good games. I liked What the Golf. Very, very odd and absurd, but still pretty funny.
Yeah.
The Rayman game is actually really good. I love the first two on iOS. So, I mean, same developers and all that stuff. So it still goes with it. I found this kind of like, I guess you could call it a twin stick shooter called Towel of Rodaga or something like that. It's got a bunch of levels. It's actually a little difficult, but it was a lot of fun. That's kind of all I've checked out so far, I think like one puzzle game, but it's just the offerings are slim. I mean, that's great. I don't get ads, but I have to pay $4.99 now every single month if I want to keep with it.
Yeah.
I looked at the release schedule, and it's basically like one game a month is being released on Apple Arcade. Like, I just don't understand that model, I guess. Like,
yeah,
how am I getting my money's worth? Because there's a bunch of games on there that I have no interest in.
Yeah. And that was problem. That was my problem with it. Like, I loved What the Golf, and I thought that was super fun and zany and all that, but it just doesn't, like you said, it doesn't provide enough value. It's not worth it. So
yeah, no, I mean, I'm glad I gave it a shot, but that's all I'm giving it is a shot.
Yeah, for sure. Moving into the topic of the show, Sean, could you say we have a Spider-Man problem? Is that
I don't have a problem with
it? Yeah, you don't have a problem with it. So we got news this week that Spider-Man in Marvel's Avengers will be exclusive to PlayStation coming early 2021, and it's coming for free. So I also want to kind of highlight the other PlayStation exclusive stuff that they added, and then we can talk about everything all at once.
Which we did know, for preface, we did know there was going to be exclusive for PlayStation users beforehand.
Correct.
We just did not know to what degree.
Correct. Yes. So the other stuff that they announced as well, they said PlayStation players will have 30-day exclusive access to a legendary outfit, legendary emote, takedown, nameplate, etc. for each superhero as they are released. This is for all the 6 launch heroes. In addition, they'll have those same rewards. They'll have more rewards for people with PS Plus subscriptions. And every character they add to the game post launch, PlayStation Plus members will also receive a free bundle that includes a rare outfit, nameplate, 100 credits, and to celebrate the addition of another Avengers to the roster. They also said they'll have a free bundle for Miss Marvel available for PlayStation Plus members at the launch. So here's my thing. So everything I just listed there, totally fine with that being PlayStation exclusive. If that was all the exclusivity that was happening with this game, I'd be totally fine with that. 30-day exclusivity for certain items and little bonuses for PlayStation Plus users. Totally fine with that. But when you're bringing in the most popular character in all of Marvel and making him a free character, no less, for the one platform and basically shunning the other 2 platforms from this character, that to me, that doesn't sit well with me, because we're all for instance, if we had 3 people, each one buys each different version of the game, PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One, 2/3 of those players are getting a lesser game for the same price. We're all paying $60 for the game. They're using development resources to make Spider-Man. They're using development resources to make Spider-Man's missions, because every hero has their own missions that they play into the main story. So my biggest problem with this is why, if the problem was Square Enix wanted Spider-Man in the game, but weren't able to get Spider-Man without PlayStation having exclusivity, then Spider-Man shouldn't have even been in the game, because you're giving one platform more content than the other 2 platforms. It's the same problem that I had with Destiny, because Activision did the same crap where they said 1 year exclusivity for strikes. There was multiple strike missions, multiple multiplayer maps, multiple character weapons and armor and all that exotic gear. And all of that was 1 year exclusive. Well, if you know what Destiny is, 1 year exclusive, a year after the game comes out, the next expansion's out, and those items are useless. Like, that's the most idiotic thing I could ever imagine. And this, in my opinion, is no different. It's just the same problem. And I don't blame Sony for this, because they're obviously going to try to do everything they can to get people to their platform. I blame Square Enix. Don't
Well, I would
offer
also
it.
say it's not just to get to their platform, but they will protect Spider-Man with everything they have.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no secret they have the best superhero game now, and probably franchise on the system, that will constantly sell, because Spider-Man, yet again, is the most popular hero there is.
Yeah.
But they are able to protect any image, because not only do they own him in games, they own him in movies, everything but comics. They own Spider-Man in. So and that's why we have a licensing deal with Disney when it comes to utilizing him for the Avengers in the MCU. So, I mean, I understand them protecting and wanting, and I also understand the business side of it, as far as from Sony being okay with that. The only thing that I will say is I 100% agree with you is, why did he have to be the character?
Yeah.
That's the part, and I get it. Yet again, like I said, most popular character, totally understandable. But there already is a Spider-Man game, not just on the PS4, but on the PS5. They announced that 100 of the most popular titles on the PS4 are going to be operational on the PS5. Boom, you can play Spider-Man PS4 there. Miles Morales supposedly is a launch title, even though we've yet to see any gameplay on it. So you already have 2 games right there. Did Spider-Man have to be the hero that is the exclusive? I think that's maybe the worst part about it, is that of all heroes, he is the exclusive one.
Yeah.
I'm not saying either which way a hero would have like an exclusive hero would have been good either way, but I like to liken it back. You remember Soul Calibur?
Yes.
Back when GameCube, PS2, and Xbox,
Yeah.
and I thought Xbox had the best one because they had Spawn. And so I actually, because I had all three systems and I bought it on Xbox because of Spawn.
Didn't they
I
have
like
Yoda
that type of
too?
thing. Huh?
Didn't they have Yoda too or something?
That was on a later one. I think
Oh.
I'm talking about Soul. Is either Soul Calibur 2 or 3.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was Soul Calibur 4, I think, for
Okay.
Yoda. Yeah.
But I would be something. I would actually be okay with that type of exclusivity, if that makes sense. I know what you're saying as far as like it doesn't really feel fair to other three platforms. But I
Yeah.
think if there was some sort of tantalizing thing that's like, hey, PlayStation, cool, you own Sony, you get Spider-Man. Xbox, cool, you get Black Panther.
Yes.
PC, well, fuck PC. You get Hawkeye then.
Yeah.
Um,
You
but it's like if something like that were to happen, that I think would be a little bit more in line with what gamers would be akin to.
Yes, I agree with that completely. That's actually a great idea, the great comparison, Soul Calibur, and that would be perfectly fine with me. Yes, I would, love to play as Spider-Man, but if they provide some other character that's exclusive to each platform, that would make sense to me because, they're doing the Soul Calibur approach. And I guess the only other thing that this comes back to is I guess they're essentially saying that crossplay isn't happening for this game because if Spider-Man's only on PlayStation, how are they going to have cross-platform play with Xbox and PC? Unless they
The
only
only
have
thing I could
those.
think of is yet again what you were kind of alluding to is development, and that would be where the frustration lies. Is that so you developed it for all three games or all three systems to run that,
Right.
but you're only making that available to that one.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just a matter of Sony won't let them utilize Spider-Man. But again, why then does it have to be Spider-Man?
Yeah. Agreed completely. It's a tricky situation, but
Especially like MODOK being the villain. MODOK's more of an interstellar villain. Like,
yeah.
I'm sorry, I think like one of the
Star-Lord.
best. No, I was thinking actually Silver Surfer.
Oh yeah.
Because there's a little bit of connection with MODOK and Galactus, and it's like Silver Surfer. We've not seen in video games since hell we were like kids basically. There was like an NE or Super Nintendo game. It was really bad, but Silver Surfer is one of my favorite interstellar heroes. So it's like that would be somebody that's perfect for it because then you can add the DLC to almost venture out in space. Because if you think about the phase 2 of Marvel, it was a lot more about space.
Yeah.
And venturing out there. So it's like why not do that essentially with your like season 2 of Avengers?
Yeah. I agree. And
I mean, obviously, I'm excited for Spider-Man. Roro and I may mention how if he was a character, we would be broke because of the costumes.
Yep.
So I'm sure that is going to happen now.
Yeah.
But I also understand the anger for non-PlayStation gamers.
Yep. And that's the exact same sentiments that Roro posted on Twitter. I saw him post on Twitter last week that, he's super excited to play as Spider-Man on PS4 PS4 version of the game. But yeah, he is, understanding that it's super disappointing for other players that, they don't get that experience. And not just that they don't get that experience, but they don't get any other experience to supplement. Like in my opinion, Square has to do something like, hey, you're getting this, or you're getting like $5 off the game or $10 off the game on your platform because
what's the point of buying it on anything else with PlayStation?
Right, exactly.
Just say it's a PlayStation exclusive at that point.
Exactly. It's silly. You're paying for less content. Like everyone's paying the same amount, so I don't understand that.
Yeah, and I'm actually okay with the timed exclusive stuff just because I guess I'm used to it in today's world.
Yeah.
It's the non-exclusive major character that is a big sticking point, I think, in the community.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I still think this is going to sell well. It's just not going to sell well on the other two platforms because, again, why would you buy it?
Yeah. And timed exclusivity is fine. I agree, as long as it doesn't get to be exorbitant like Destiny was when it was a year exclusivity.
I was going to say a month does not bother me,
No.
especially when it wasn't anything like, I don't know, my mind gameplay centric. Like, cool, you get a different costume for a month earlier, or a takedown, or I don't know, just a look of your character in general. that stuff does not bother me because that just feels like COD from the 360 days.
Yeah.
This is the only thing that bothers me as a gamer as a whole, but I know I'm going to benefit just as a PlayStation gamer.
Yep.
I honestly, I think that's echoing a lot of media too. A lot of media are obviously excited about Spider-Man as a character in this game. They just understand that this is an issue. Tons of news outlets have had discussions about, like, this is a little odd to do.
Yep. I agree with all points. Anything else you want to talk about in regards to Spider-Man or anything else before we end the show?
Nope. Just know that in about 3 weeks' time, we'll have our consoles pre-ordered.
Yes, I hope so. I mean, it has to be this month.
Cry if we don't.
Yeah, it's got to be this month. Thank you to everyone joining us live, both on YouTube and on podcast services everywhere, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, and Stitcher. Thank you, Sean. I am Daniel, and this has been Podcast PXN, and we are out. Much love, and keep on gaming.
Deuces.